After the holidays, when I kind of went through this whole kind of like make your PhD a great story experience, I came back full of ideas. But with great ideas, especially a great number of ideas, comes a great length of a to-do list. And I just kept finding myself being overwhelmed with all the to-dos that I wanted to get done and this never-ending stream of all good tasks. But it was not a pleasant experience. And I stumbled upon something that kind of helped me manage this a bit, and that's what I want to share with you today. And if you're new here, first of all, welcome. My name is Gergő. I'm a second-year PhD in the Netherlands, working at the intersection of management and network science. This is the channel where I just share my experience throughout this journey. So as I said, back from the holidays, full of ideas, full of projects that I have started, that I want to start, that I want to work on with other people, and I just found my to-do list and my kind of like my backlog of ideas and stuff to, oh, I need to read this, I need to code this, I need to try that out, I need to talk to this person, just kept getting more and more overwhelming. So as I was catching up on my newsletters, I stumbled upon a newsletter from Austin Kleon titled 8 Questions I Ask Myself. And I just went through them because I really like Austin Kleon's newsletter. I always get so inspired by reading what he writes. And one of the questions that he mentioned there was the question, what would done look like for today? And in that he referenced that this question actually came from, or got inspired from Oliver Burkeman's piece in The Guardian, I believe, where he just like had a column about like life and some writings. And then he had a piece where he summarized the journey of that column and the biggest learnings. And then I read that column. I will try to find it and link it in the description. And one of the takeaways that he like found out about life was that, to-do lists never end. There isn't like an organic moment when you just don't have more stuff to do. And like, while at first that sounds very daunting, I also found it kind of inspiring that you can just decide when you're done, but you have to do that. And this kind of comes like full circle with, the whole like agency discussion that like if you don't construct your own, end point of the day, someone else will do it for you. Here, I think it's even a bit more sinister, right? Because if you don't construct your own narrative on like when you are done with the work you're trying to do, you are just constantly gonna feel that you didn't do enough because, there is even more stuff on the backlog. And that is absolutely what I was experiencing with all of these projects. And it's not a good feeling, right? Because you just get started working and then you put a bunch of effort in. And then the only feeling that you have at the end of the day is that, oh my God, there is so much stuff that I didn't get to do. That validation that this is a universal experience and like to do this just never end. That is kind of their design. Was really, really helpful for me in putting all of this into perspective. Now, why did this question land so well with me? What would done look like for today, right? It's a pretty simple question, but when I found myself like sitting down with my little notebook, either the little notebook or the somewhat bigger notebook in the morning before work, and just wrote, like, sit down, opened up my laptop and my backlog, and then I just sat down and asked myself, like, hey, what would done look like today? And then how I think about this is what are the stuff that if I cross those off of the to-do list, then I will consider the day done and the day won. It just really helped me in 3 main things, I think. And these 3 are like the holy trinity of well-being, in my opinion. And the first one was kind of like give myself permission to stop working, right? And I think a lot of people can relate to that. If you are doing a PhD, then you for sure can relate to that. But like giving yourself permission to rest is, I think, very important, because otherwise you will just carry your work into, the next part of your day, which is either time with your family or your partner, or you're just like winding down and you can't do that. It's not great. So it gives you permission. It also gives you a sense of accomplishment, because you can just decide like, hey, if these are done, then I know I have made progress towards whatever I want to do. And while you still get that, when you tick the little box off in a to-do list, I just found that like having this hard stop, or it doesn't even have to be a hard stop, right? If for some reason you just finish stuff very quickly, you can continue, but having this minimal viable product, like an MVP of accomplishment, just helps me a lot in kind of that relaxation and leaving work behind. And the last thing that it really helped me with, the third of the holy trinity of well-being, was intentionality. And instead of just like relying on a sorting algorithm of a to-do or whatever, you know, like on the whims of of my day to decide what I want to work on, this kind of allowed me in the morning to decide like, hey, this is what I want to focus on. You know, it's possible that I have like a bunch of ideas and a bunch of projects that I want to make progress on. And, you know, if you know me in real life, I want everything right now kind of person. And it's just very difficult to feel like to focus on stuff, right? And to put all your effort into one thing. And then in the morning, instead of like being all spread around, I can just decide like, hey, okay, today I'm gonna work on this project. And if I make progress on this project, then I will feel accomplished for today. And it's an intentional decision. And it's not like a whim, like I just have to open up like my to-dos and it's like, oh, what do I feel like today? No, none of that. It's like I can decide that. So this permission, accomplishment, intentionality trinity is just very, very good. And I think it's one of those things where like this takes 90 seconds of the morning, but it kind of like sets the rest of the day up very nicely, at least for me. And the other thing I also found, almost like a side effect of this, was that it gave me a better idea of how much I can realistically accomplish in a day, which is I think very underrated, because if you work in like, I don't know, I have some friends working in software development, and then, you know, you have your sprints and your Jira and then story points and everything. And it's very much like externally managed, kind of how much you can get done. And there is someone whose job it is, you know, like a Scrum Master's job it is to gauge how much work you can realistically accomplish in a given amount of time. In academia, we don't have Scrum Masters, right? You kind of have to be your own Scrum Master in a weird and twisted way. And I think like making these lists is like, hey, if these, I don't know, 4, 5, 7 tasks are done for the day, then I will feel accomplished. It just kind of helps me calibrate my own work capacity. Because sometimes I would write down 4 tasks and gauge like, hey, this is a days of work, and I will be done with them at like 2:30 in the afternoon. It's like, oh, nice. And I can, you know, I now can adjust my calibration a bit. And sometimes I will write down 7 tasks and absolutely not get to the end of it. And then that's also a learning moment, right? And I think this, alongside with the weekly newsletter that I made the video about, is just a very helpful way to kind of calibrate your own, well, internal measurements, right? Around the amount of work you can accomplish in different amounts of time. Because, you know, there is this old, I don't know, I think it's like a James Clear-ism, is that most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years, or something along these lines. But I'm a big fan of this, right? Because we just don't really have a good concept of how much we can accomplish, because humans are not very good at long timelines. I think we're also not very good at short timelines. You can look like, oh, 15 minutes or an hour, like it just slips away, right? But this way, it kind of allows you to really hone that skill of gauging how much you can get done. And it really helped me in like putting all of my work and my work capacity into perspective. So yeah, it was very helpful to me to kind of think about my day this way. I hope it can help you to kind of, you know, get a bit more intentionality and accomplishment into your workday. Let me know if it helps. And I will try to link the blog posts in the description. That's all for today, and I will see you next time. Bye.